Turnover or Activity Analysis, Part 3. Inventory Turnover. Like the receivables turnover, we also calculate inventory turnover. Inventory turnover is somewhat similar to receivables turnover, but here we see that what was the cost of that inventory that was sold. So if you look at the cycle of inventory turnover, you would see that here we have got the goods that we have purchased, and then we hold those goods, that is inventory, and then we sell these goods, and we do not realize cash, but these are converted into accounts receivable. So we can say that this cycle of inventory turnover is from the purchase of goods, holding them, and then selling them and converting them into accounts receivables, which then are converted into cash. Inventory is simply those goods which are kept in the business for the purpose of sales. Sometimes the goods are sold as they are purchased, and in case of manufacturing, these goods are converted into some other form. So we call it the raw material which is converted into finished goods. Like receivables turnover, inventory turnover can also be calculated in terms of times or number of days. Every business organization would like to have a high inventory turnover so that the inventory can be converted into profit and cash. Inventory turnover, in simple words, show that in how many days or how quickly our inventory is sold and the business realizes cash as well as profit. So it is good and favorable for a business organization to turn over its inventory quickly. So every business would like to do that so that the holding or the carrying of the inventory is minimum. It is also because carrying or holding inventory has a cost. यानी वो स्टोर रूम या वेयर हाउस जहाँ पर आप इन्वेंट्री को रखते हैं, उसके अंदर जो कंडीशंस, जो सिक्योरिटी आपको प्रोवाइड करनी होती है, ये तमाम वो कॉस्ट हैं जो इन्वेंट्री के साथ एसोसिएटेड होती हैं, एंड वी कैन रिड्यूस दिस कॉस्ट बाय हैविंग अ क्विक इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर. इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियोज को कैलकुलेट करने के लिए हमारे पास प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट से भी वैल्यूज आती हैं और बैलेंस शीट से भी वैल्यूज आती हैं. As receivables turnover, inventory turnover also do not have a standard which is a generalized standard. That is, we may have got some benchmarks which are industry's average, and that is the most suitable benchmark for inventory turnover ratio. The process of inventory management is a detailed process and a topic in itself, where we see that what should be the levels of inventory that should be kept and how it can be most economical and most beneficial for a business organization. But inventory turnover ratio is part of the inventory management process, keeping it at a certain level. Moving forward, let's try to calculate the inventory turnover ratio by using the formula. The formula requires the value of our average inventory. An average inventory value is simply the opening plus closing values divided by 2. So we take the average of the two opening and closing inventories, and we also need to have the value of cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold means it is the cost of those goods or units which are sold by the company in a particular accounting period. We can say a year. So एक साल में होने वाली सेल्स के जो गुड्स थे उनकी जो कॉस्ट है उसको कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड कहा जाता है. सो वी डिवाइड द कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड वैल्यू विद द एवरेज इन्वेंट्री. हम ऐसा क्यों करते हैं? हम क्रेडिट सेल से इन्वेंट्री को डिवाइड क्यों नहीं करते? उसकी बुनियादी वजह यह है कि इन्वेंट्री कॉस्ट के ऊपर ली जाती है, इसीलिए कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड को कंसिडर किया जाता है ये रेशो कैलकुलेट करने के लिए. Suppose if we have got a value of 400,000 rupees of cost of goods sold and we have an inventory of 50,000, which is the average inventory. So we'll get inventory turnover equal to 8 times. How do we interpret it? 8 times is the number for which we circulated or we moved the inventory in 1 year. That is, we purchased the inventory and we sold it and we converted into cash and profit. Like the receivables turnover ratio in days, we also calculate inventory turnover in days. This is also called the holding period of inventory. एक बात तो अब हम बड़ी आसानी से कह सकते हैं कि जितना ज़्यादा होल्डिंग पीरियड होगा इन्वेंट्री का वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए अच्छा नहीं है. That means shorter is the holding period, quicker is the turnover, more will be the profit, better will be the cash flows. So this means we would like to have a shorter inventory turnover in terms of days or the shorter holding period. To calculate the holding period of inventory, we need to have the inventory turnover ratio, which we have just calculated. And we also need to know the number of days of the time period for which we are calculating this ratio. Generally, it is 1 year. So what we do is we divide the number of days in 1 year, which is 365, with the inventory turnover ratio, which in this case is 8, and the answer is 45.6 days. In simple words, हम ये कह सकते हैं कि ये बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जिसकी ITO वैल्यू 45.6 है वो इतने दिनों में अपनी इन्वेंट्री को कन्वर्ट कर लेती है. इस रेशो को इन टाइम्स ज़्यादा होना चाहिए, इन टर्म्स ऑफ नंबर ऑफ डेज कम होना चाहिए, एंड वी नीड टू कीप इट कंपेटिटिव विद द इंडस्ट्री ताकि हम दूसरों से बेहतर परफॉर्म कर सकें.